Hey everyone, this is TC from EmbracePangea.com, where you can get all your natural product needs and services. But the highlight of this video is not going to be the natural products that are on the website, but it's going to be the coming Cuba trip for the TamiTravels.com website. So a lot of you all have already contacted me in regards to the Cuba trip and figuring out what are the actual details for the trip. And so let's just get right into that right now. So, as you all may have known, the trip is scheduled for March 11th through the 19th of this year, and we're going to be exploring Cuba. So, we're going to be going to different places such as Havana, that's where we're going to actually fly into. And then we're going to be visiting Vinales, which is more so like the agricultural area of the country, where you can go and learn more about tobacco and the cigars, and see how they actually go about that production. Varadero, we're going to go and be exploring the coastline to see how that layout compares to the highlands, which is the mountain area where we're just coming from. And then we'll also be going to Playa Girón, and that area is where the Bay of Pigs is located. And a lot of you all, if you are Americans and you've gone through the American school system, you would have learned about the Bay of Pigs. And we're going to get the Cuban perspective on the Bay of Pigs by going to their museum. So the cultural activities that we're going to be doing on this trip are the first thing when we get there, the very first day, we're going to be arriving on Saturday. We're going to do a tour of the city of Havana. And so there are different types of tours. You can do the 3 hour walking tour, or you can do a 2 hour tour in their classical cars that they have there. But once again, it's going to depend on what the group decides that it wants to do. Then we're going to go to the Hemingway House. We're going to visit the Afro-Cuban Religion Museum, which is located 30 minutes outside of Havana. We're going to the Bay of Pigs, like I mentioned previously, that's located in Playa Girón. We're going to watch a Cuban cabaret. That's more like a nighttime activity so that we can understand like their culture and how they express themselves artistically. We're going to go to Vinales Valley, which is what I was talking about before with the tobacco farm, the cigar factory, and we're going to get an understanding of how much tobacco do they really grow, how much do they give back to the government, how much do they keep for themselves, and what's the entire process of from seed to crop of growing tobacco, and also what's the process in making a cigar, what are the raw ingredients that they need, what steps do they take? How do they roll them? We're all going to go to the factory and the farms and get that information. So the elements to the trip, like I mentioned, is going to be March 11th through the 19th. It's going to be a 9-day trip, 8 nights, Saturday to Sunday. And the round trip ticket really varies. So it could be 200 to three, well, it can actually be less than $200, and as much as $300, depending on where you book, when you book, and how you book. So for instance, if you're checking out different airlines that are flying over there, there are 3 airlines that I'll mention later on that do offer cheaper tickets. But if you're looking, let's say during a prime time, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you try to look to buy your ticket on those days, the ticket prices are going to be higher. And even if you try to look to buy your ticket during, let's say, waking hours, so like anytime between like noon and like 8 p.m. of any day, the ticket prices are going to be higher. But if you look during like the sweet spot, like Tuesday, night leading into Wednesday morning, like 10 p.m. on Tuesday into like 2 a.m. on Wednesday, the ticket prices are typically cheaper. So when everyone solidifies that they are going to be going on the trip, we can then plan a day for us to all book our tickets so that we can get on the same flight and arrive at the same time. Because when we arrive at the same time, then we can also save money on the taxi from the airport to where we're going to be staying. And speaking of where we're going to be staying, the key is to stay in, cheaper accommodations. Not that you're going to be staying in like a bad place, but we don't need to be staying in a hotel because chances are we probably won't be in wherever we're staying very long because we're going to be out exploring the city. Airbnb rentals roughly are about $20 a night, and that price is per person. So yes, for instance, it may say, oh, it's $40 a night, but when you look at the details, it says you can fit two people in the room, and if you're okay and comfortable sharing a room, then that $40 gets split into two. So you pay 20 and your other person pays $20. So that's why I said roughly $20 a night. Now, depending on how many people go on the trip, then we may be able to book out an entire home and it may be way cheaper than $20 a night, or we may just have like, a flat and the price may vary. But the budget is to have it be $20 or less per night. When it comes down to the visa, like all countries, or not all countries, but some countries, Americans do have to have a visa for. For instance, if you're going to Thailand, you as an American do not need to get a visa. But if you're going to Laos, Cambodia, or Vietnam, you do need to have a visa to travel there. And the Cuban visa is going to be $50. These prices are all in US dollars. So it's going to be $50. You get it when you actually arrive in the Cuban airport, when you're doing the whole entire immigration process. And on the visa, you're going to select that you're doing the cultural educational exchange, because legally Americans are not allowed to travel to Cuba for tourism purposes. And like I said, the focus of this trip is not tourism purposes. The focus of this trip is to get a better understanding of another culture through, exploring what they have to offer as far as their farms, their agriculture, their museums, their artistic side, and to go into their local markets and to see what is their way of life. The tours, like I mentioned before, those different tours that I listed, like the Hemingway House, the Afro-Caribbean Museum, Vinales Valley, the Bay of Pigs, I would estimate it being between $300 to $400. When in my travel experience, it's always cheaper to go and book the tours when you arrive. So if you go and you book the tours online, let's say before you get to the country, then you're also paying a service fee to the booking website that you're using to get those deals or to get the tour. And also, when you arrive in the country, you may be able to negotiate a better deal to go on the tour that you're trying to go on, and you can probably see if they have different tour agencies or different tour companies, and they may have different prices. That's been my experience, where I may go to a tour agency that's located in the building literally next door to one agency I just left, and their price may be $5 or $10 cheaper. And when when I get more into details about this trip, you'll understand why sticking to the budget is very, very important, or waiting to try to get the best deal is very important. The estimate for food, I would say, is about $50 a day. So if you do, let's say, 3 meals a day at $10, that's like $30, and then you have another $20 for snacks or to buy anything else that you would like to buy. Now, if you are someone that has a higher appetite than the $50 budget, please just keep in mind that you have to budget that accordingly. So if you know you may eat less than $50 a day, I would still say to budget for $50 a day, because it's better to over budget than to under budget. And I'll explain why in a little bit. Travel insurance. When you are going to Cuba, the Cuban government requires everyone to have insurance. So you can purchase travel insurance from different websites. I've done it before, and I've also experienced a situation where travel insurance was definitely important, because unexpected things happen on trips, and it's always best to be secure and not have to use your insurance than to have no insurance and then have to try to figure out how you're going to come out of pocket. So if you don't buy insurance before you arrive to Cuba, you can get insurance when you arrive, and it's going to be about $10 a day. Since we're going to be there for 9 days, the total will be $90. And when you're leaving the country, you have to pay an exit fee of $25. Some countries, the exit fees are built into your plane ticket. So I don't know if you ever really paid attention when you bought a plane ticket, and it always says, okay, this is the fare for the plane ticket, but then it also says taxes and fees. So those fees also include an exit fee. But some countries like Guatemala or Costa Rica, they do not include the exit fee in your ticket. So for that reason, you have to purchase the exit fee or pay your exit fee before you check in on at the airline counter. So the total amount for this trip is going to be $1,475, which includes the place to stay, your plane ticket, your visa, all the tours, the food that you're going to be needing, um, as well as the travel insurance and your exit fee. So long story short, all the costs associated with taking this cultural exploration trip is going to be less than $1,500. If you are someone that wants to bring back souvenirs, you need to budget that into this amount. Because that's everyone doesn't want to bring back souvenirs, and the price range to bring back souvenirs varies drastically. That's why I didn't really include it. So all the core elements of going on this trip is going to be that amount. Please note that ticket prices range, like I said, range and change on a regular basis, like I mentioned before. So just a reminder, booking your ticket on a Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning will save you tons of money. For instance, I remember when I was going to Thailand, they say on average the trip should cost, a good ticket is like $1,100 to $1,200 round trip to go to Thailand from Miami. But because I booked during like the sweet spot, like the Tuesday, Wednesday time period, I was able to get a ticket round trip for less than $900. It was like $860 US round trip. That's why I say you definitely want to book during the sweet spot, because you will save tons of money that you can then apply to your trip later. And a Tammy tip is that booking together is ideal. Like I mentioned before, we want to arrive together so that we can get to the Airbnb together. And if we get more people into the taxi, like the taxi normally holds like around 4 people. And if we get 4 people, then we can split the cost of the taxi into four. So instead of you coming with your friend and you're paying, let's say on average, the taxi itself is $20, then each of you will be paying $10 each. But if we can fit 4 people into the taxi, then each person will be paying $5 each, and then you can put that money towards something else on your trip. Um, oh yes, and so when it comes to baggage, that's one thing I did not include in the price of the ticket. For me, when I'm traveling somewhere, I always try to do carry on because it's way cheaper, and I feel like if you're going somewhere for a week, especially like a country where you're literally exploring, you don't need to dress fancy or anything like that. Like simple, like tank top, jeans. I wouldn't even say jeans because it may be hot, but some shorts and all of those items you can definitely fit into a carry-on luggage, so you don't have to pay for that baggage fee. And the three airlines that I was mentioning before that had the cheaper rates were JetBlue, Spirit, and Delta Airlines. So when you're searching, you may want to go directly to their websites, or if you already have like miles with them, go to their website, see how much your ticket would be. But once again, when we coordinate who's actually going on a trip, we can figure out which airline will be better, and what time to leave here would be good as well. The specific lodging will be selected when the group has been solidified. And I'm going to give the dates later on in this presentation so that everyone's aware, like, okay, we have to know who's going by this date so that we can get our stuff booked by this date as well. And the tours will be solidified when we arrive in Havana in order to get the best deals, like I mentioned before. And this is one important aspect. Like I said, with souvenirs, you can bring back up to $400 worth of souvenirs. That's another reason why I did not include it in the actual elements of the trip, because that's really discretionary. That's really up to you. If you want to bring back $400 worth of souvenirs, no problem, but everyone may not want to factor in an additional $400 for souvenirs, which may also include up to $100 worth of Cuban cigars. So, someone's budget may be $50 for souvenirs. Someone's budget may be $200. So that just really varied, and I wasn't sure where everyone was. But for your knowledge, you're allowed to bring back up to $400 worth of souvenirs, which includes $100 worth of Cuban cigars. When it comes to debit, credit cards, and spending money in Cuba, your debit, credit cards, any type of plastic cards that you have as an American citizen, it will not work in Cuba. So that's number one, which is why it was important to put all the necessary budgeting information so that you can plan to have at least that much. But I would definitely say to bring a little bit extra, like maybe $200 or $300 extra, because of the fact that you can't take money out and you cannot use your credit cards. So if you run out of money, you're kind of in a sticky situation, and it's always better to over budget than to under budget and then be in a situation. It's also recommended to convert your US dollars into CUCs because Cuba has two types of currency. They have the local and then they have the foreigner currency. So the local currency is CUPs, and the tourist, or not tourist, but the foreigner currency is CUC, which is closer to the US dollar. So when we arrive, we can actually do our exchange in the country when we arrive. And like I mentioned before several times throughout this, it is always better to over budget and then come back home with money, because when you get back to the airport, you can always convert your CUCs back into dollars. So that way you won't be, losing money or anything like that. And some people I know, they collect foreign currency. So if you want to come back home with your currency as your souvenir option, then that's totally up to you as well. So the internet, I know we're all so accustomed to always being connected to either social media or our emails, or, even our phones to just talk to whoever we're going to talk to or text. But internet connection may not be the best in Cuba. So they have recently started allowing people to have internet connection. However, the thing is that it may not be as fast, but you can buy Wi-Fi cards. The Wi-Fi cards are roughly around like 2 to 3 US for like 1 or 2 hours. But when you run out of that, you have to buy a recharge card, which is probably about like $6 US. But we can always get more of that information when we check into the Airbnb, and also when we get to the airport, we can just like see what they have available. Please ensure that you have a valid passport. This is so important. Right now, we are about, I would say, 2 months out from the trip. So if you do decide that you want to go on this trip, or just in general, because you never know where you may want to travel in the near future or what opportunities may pop up, please ensure that you double check the expiration date of your passport. You need to have at least 6 months of validity on your passport in order to travel. Well, not really in order to travel, but in order to get a visa, you should have 6 months left on your passport. So these are the important dates that I was mentioning before that you should save. The first day is January 22nd, which is a week from now. And so that way you have a week to double check your school schedule, double check your work schedule, double check your personal schedule, so you can confirm that you will be able to participate in the trip. February 1st, which is the week after, that is when we're going to be booking our plane ticket to go. And then we'll also solidify, we'll also book, I should say, the Airbnb as well. Because as it gets closer, you don't really want the Airbnbs. Like, let's say you have a really good Airbnb and you have a really good price for it. You don't really want it to get taken by someone because we waited, especially when the week before we already know who will be going on the trip. So what's next? Now that you have all the details that you need to find out for the trip, you know the important dates, and you know the budget that you should be working with, and you have tips that you should be looking out and keeping in mind. What is next? If you do decide to explore the Cuban culture with me, please email embracepangea.com, or preferably register via the link that's located in the description box for this video, or it should be accompanying this video if I send it to you via text message or send it to you via whatever app like WhatsApp or GroupMe or anything like that, or post it on the Facebook group. So please register via that link so that we can like keep everyone accountable for, and it's everything is in one location. If you're unable to attend this trip, be on the alert for details regarding future trips that I will be planning. Like, I know I want to go to Egypt, like the beginning of summer, like around May 4th-ish, I think, or May 10th. I'm trying to go to Egypt, so I'm going to be sending out information regarding that. And then in August, I'm supposed to be going to Jamaica. So if anyone's interested in going and, celebrating the Jamaican independence and learning more about Jamaican culture, then you're more than welcome. Just contact me. You have the email address embracepangea@gmail.com. And if you have like some country that you've always wanted to go to, definitely feel free to make suggestions in the comment box to this video, or text me, WhatsApp me, email me. Just get in contact with me so that way if you're interested in going somewhere and I'm also interested in going that place as well, then we can plan something and we can invite as many people to explore different cultures as much as possible. And the reason why I say it's about exploring cultures is because when you're sitting here and you're only getting a filtered view of someone else's culture because you just watch it on the TV, like in movies or in shows or even on like news stations, you're getting a filtered view. You're getting a secondary perspective on someone else's culture from someone else's point of view. But when you actually go and explore that person's culture, you get firsthand experience and you really get to see what the culture is for the reality. It's not like filtered, like, oh, this is what happens during this time. You get a full range of what goes on in that country. And you come back home with a better perspective and a more global view of how the world really works and how it operates. So like I mentioned before, if you have any questions, please review the details of this trip. Like, just hit start, just hit replay on this video, watch it one more time, and then if you still have questions, please, please, please leave a comment in the video or email them to embracepangea@gmail.com, or contact me via whatever social media that we started talking on, or message my phone if we have each other's number. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.